live.
Oh, wow. Look at that energy coming out of the gate.
Wake up and deliver episode 22. Anyways, good morning, everybody.
Well, I'll give you a good morning.
Okay.
Well, I don't have that energy. You're talking to me right now. Like, I mean, I wasn't ready. See, Matt does this. He just drops in on me and is like, here we go.
Well, you brought the energy before the show, John. You were making a lot of great comments. He's even responding to everybody. Look at this. Look at that picture right there for John. He almost, it's the reverse of your shirt right now.
It is. Yeah, actually, it is. That's true. Yeah, I was wearing a black shirt in that picture, I think. Yeah.
Well, let's get started. As we do every week, we're going to start off with some brain food and John's reactions. John is ready. We're going to do a close-up on this.
Let's go.
We're closing up. Practice until you get it right, and you'll need perfect conditions. Practice until you can't get it wrong, and conditions no longer matter.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Where'd you get that one today? That seems sporty.
Same place to get all my quotes. From up
Yeah,
there, John.
I mean, I do like that. I think, probably at the most basic level is probably helping people understand the difference between really knowing what you're doing, you know what I mean, and being able to shift with whatever comes up versus knowing how to do it a certain way or in a certain context, right? Like, ooh, I'm really great at my job up until something changes.
I like to point out that I am not AI generated, but we don't know. We don't know if John is. We just don't know anymore.
I'm gonna keep the mystery alive for a few weeks before I reveal my state.
Until Tom Cruise shows up at your place, right, to do the wake up and deliver.
Matt's always dropping these things, just like not AI generated. Funny enough, though, honestly, how weird is it? Or how much is the world going to change when, no word of a lie, like a video is probably going to have that kind of like official endorser from some organization.
They do now on social media. Some of them has to say if it's AI generated or not, like because they're starting to become that real. And they also have these watermarks, and I'm curious how much of a battle this will be to find these watermarks in the VO3 videos to combat the authenticity of these videos.
But the problem is building it into the model is kind of pointless, because sooner or later you're just going to get someone that's going to build one that doesn't do that, right? To kind of intentionally try to blur the line between like sort of like generated and reality. So I don't think like a watermark. I don't think like even what LinkedIn does, with the little like CR, kind of thing that shows up on pictures when you're scrolling the feed. Like, honestly, waste of time. Because the thing is that sooner or later, people will just make models that trick the system. So you're going to need some kind of like real like endorser organization that's like, you have to somehow log in, verify you're the real person before you can do your video or to get the stamp of approval on it.
I'm loading up the video for context, so everybody kind of gets what we're.
Oh, this one.
I think it's. Even though we weren't going to talk about this topic, we always kind of jump onto something. So everything here is AI generated. And let me know if you can hear the sound.
No, it never plays the sound.
Never plays the sound? Let me try. Can you hear the sound?
No, it doesn't stream. I don't think you have it set up properly.
So I got to figure out the setup. So this is basically a take on influencers reacting to the end of the world. And each and one of these ones is basically like your typical social media influencer. Guys talking about, taking the right protein shakes. She's talking about how her boyfriend wasn't accepting her, talking about drinks, but it's coming to the end of the world. But this looks real, right? Like you can't tell the difference.
It's pretty good. Actually, you know what the funny thing is? I showed it to my daughter, right? So she's 16 and she's like, what is this? And I just kind of goofed around. I was like, oh, it's influencers reacting to the end of the world. Her first reaction was just like, well, I don't know any of these people, meaning they're just not popular enough.
Wow.
Not that like, there's something felt super off with the video. Just like, these people they're not really influencers. It's like,
because I don't know them.
Yeah.
It's not Tom Cruise.
No, exactly.
So this one was a funny one. Anyways, if you haven't seen this video here, maybe John, you post because when do you have the? I'll share the link because when you post it, you have your name on there.
Well, it's because I'm
Mine.
doing it in LinkedIn.
Oh, that's maybe a good thing. There you
So
go. I sent it in the private chat for you.
okay,
Um,
I'll grab it after.
let's stop this. Anyways, yeah. So we thought that was kind of. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think it's interesting. So Robert's asking if you or I saw his demo of cargo fish. So Robert, I saw one of your videos. I don't know specifically if it was at the New York Fleet Show. I'm thinking no, because it looked like it was more set up kind of in a residential area. But I think it still spoke to the way that the tech could work and stuff. So for everyone who doesn't know, Robert and his company Cargo Fish basically are working on using the concept of utilities to do last mile. So think about, instead of having drones and AVs or people running up to your door, products being able to be moved like underground, like through tunnels, pipes, and things like that, to get closer or maybe right to the final destination, depending on how infrastructure gets built at some point. So very cool. I actually think it's interesting because it leads into, and Robert, thank you for that, because it's going to lead into something I was going to ask Matt as I was thinking about this morning. So
Matt's
I
reactions.
thought, yeah, it's a little bit of reaction and your honest take about this type of logistics activity. So I've gotten a lot of flack since last week, right? There was a bit of an announcement from one of these regional delivery providers that made a big splash about like, ooh, look at our innovation with this delivery robot, which is kind of like one of these robots. It's like in a dog style with like wheels, and it's got a little bit more like mobility. You can go like up and down stairs and things like that. And it's like a package delivery, system. And my point was like, hey, I love this technology. It's a waste of time. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the sense of like, I think that it's directly to the refrigerator. So that's pretty wild, Robert. That's some next level stuff, and definitely more advanced than what this kind of conversation is going to focus in on for Matt's reaction. But the idea being these last mile robots that people like think that we're investing in very heavily, and we're developing this technology to bring packages to people's doors so that you don't need people doing it and stuff. My personal position on this is that the vast majority of these things are an absolute waste of time, because there's two things really with last mile that really make it profitable for a service provider. The first is density, right? Like having enough stops to actually do and packages to deliver. And then speed. And I don't mean like the speed of the delivery, like, oh, it's ultra fast, get it in 30 minutes, but like the speed of the process, like, how can you essentially drive more transactions per hour? And my point with a lot of these little like autonomous AV robots is that they're a waste of time, because they're significantly slower than what a person is. It's got to get in and out of a vehicle, this one in particular. You've got to load the package. It's got to unload the package. Obviously, it's speed limited to about a similar speed as a walking speed of a person. So it's like you're not really getting any advantages. And then there's all of the issues around, the construction, the batteries, how long does it last? How long does it take to, swap out a battery? All of these things. So my point being is that they're a waste of time. So I've been catching a lot of flack for that. But more importantly, and this is what I want your reaction on.
Okay.
And I've got a poll going about it this morning. So if anyone's checking on LinkedIn, I've got a poll going right now because I was curious. But do you, Matt, as a consumer, if you see this technology or you're thinking about maybe the future of delivery, how often do you think about the concept of like what your neighborhood would look like, or what our cities would look like, if these autonomous delivery robots became the main mechanism of delivery? Like when you think of congestion, whether on sidewalks, on streets, or whatever, do you think about that?
Not actively, but now I am.
That was the third part of my question. Yes, no, I am now, essentially, is the question. Well, because I added a lot more depth to it in my newsletter yesterday. And I showed this picture of essentially like the same kind of thing that you get today with cars versus a bus versus bikes and versus a bus and all of these things. And you really see how the same amount of people in the same amount of space, how it dramatically changes when you're looking at cars versus a bus, right? And everyone's going to get that very intuitively. But like, this is one of the major problems that I think people are not thinking about when it comes to logistics, when it comes to operations, is that, do you actually want your neighborhoods dominated by 100, 200, 500 little autonomous drones running around with one or two packages at a time? Like, even if the technology can, it's like, is that the quality of life that you want?
So, couple things. First thing, I'm going to talk about the bus and the car thing in the space, because
Yeah.
to me, this has pondered my mind forever. I'm going to subscribe to the Matrix here. How is it that I can walk across a bus like 3-4 people deep from one side to the other, but in a car I can just touch the person next to me and I have all the road space? How is it? But the bus is not that much bigger than a car. There's way too much space in the bus compared to what's out there. It's a joke.
Well, you gotta have the space to move around.
But how does it fit in the same road? Like I can fit like 6 people in a bus standing up.
So, but actually, think about it the other way. That actually causes that's inherently what causes part of the problem. So, because our roads then are oversized, which means our cars are undersized, meaning that they're big enough that you can't get more side by side, and they're big enough for the space they take. But it's essentially a lot of inefficient use of space, because you end up having a lot of dead white space.
So the technology I like, I was joking on that. I didn't think you'd jump on
Oh,
that so
I'm
quickly.
all over it.
You were all like,
Oh, yeah.
The one I like most, I don't think the drones walking on the streets and all that kind of aspect of it is going to make a lot of sense. Maybe more so in a very dense urban area. And I'm reminded of that Will Smith movie of the robots walking, and iRobot, was it iRobot? Yeah, it was iRobot, making deliveries and doing all that aspect. You won't notice it as much as just a throng of people. The one that kind of interests me the most is I think China recently came out with the airship drone ships that do the deliveries from in the sky, and come into the cities and drop all your packages right in your backyard or right into like convenient areas. Or even what Audi had a few years ago, where it open up your trunk and put it into your trunk and close it for you as well, as a part of like a delivery package. For me, it's the convenience, not that it's at my doorstep, it's having it without causing me to be inconvenient, right?
For sure.
And then when someone drops something at my house and I'm not home, that's an inconvenience for me, because I'm now in the back of my mind worried that hey, there's something at my house that I need to go grab. With a drone ship dropping it in your backyard or on your back porch, it's a little bit more secure, especially if they come up with a different, more secure area, or even like a rooftop delivery. It goes down the Santa Claus pipe. Something along those aspects is what I would be looking more forward to.
But
right?
here's the thing. So this is where, like, again, I spend like a lot of time with the last mile, the delivery stuff or whatever.
And Rob does not like my airship comment. Like he's just laughing.
Well,
he's hurting.
Yeah, but that's I don't know. Matt loves Christmas. He's a Santa guy. No. Anyways, so he loves the idea that every day is Christmas, or the holidays. I got to be careful with that. Anyways, the challenge though with this, and even to your point about these walking humanoid robots, funny enough, I actually think that they will have just as negative a reaction by people in their neighborhoods, because I don't know if people will feel inherently comfortable with like Cylons delivering your packages and like walking around your neighborhoods. You're just seeing all of these kind of creepy robots everywhere. You know that one video where you sent like the troop of like robots walking through the neighborhood? So I don't think that people will honestly feel comfortable with it. And I think that there's going to be a really interesting shift with all of this technology and people realizing that, like, oh my God, like I don't want my quality of life to be this way just for consumer goods. Like I really think that kind of dichotomy is coming.
I like the Battlestar Galactica reference. I think that's fantastic. I like the Cylons that look like people. I think that's going to be far more closer. I doubt they're going to look like. It's going to be more replicants out of Blade Runner. I think that's the true reality we're going to see, and we're going to get to a point where they don't even know they're replicants. You know what I mean? Anyways, so we're getting off on a tangent, but I was going to say, I think you got to also understand that if we take most people off the roads, they're doing deliveries, and a lot of traffic is just logistics, right? And if we took them all off and replaced them with autonomous, it's not increasing traffic either. Like you already have
It
people
is though.
doing. Why?
It will though, because the thing is right now, like for example, how are you going to get a delivery robot to do 200 packages like an Amazon driver is? The only way that you essentially go net neutral is to have a robot that can perform exactly the same way as a human. So any of these other AVs, like I got in.
But didn't
I
you say
got
that last week with the Amazon? Like what you did a couple of weeks ago. You're like, look at the Amazon that Matt, you're assuming, and then there was an actual robot that comes out of the car, and then so it's an autonomous
Yeah,
vehicle.
but what's the point of that? You're going to still use the same vehicle. Like, so
Yeah.
you're creating this, you're not improving congestion, you're not changing anything. You now have another robot there. And I think what people don't really realize too is that, like, we talk about like things like our cell phones with e-waste. How much e-waste do you think there's going to be when there's like little skippy robots all over the place, broken wheels, broken this, batteries all over the place that don't work? Honestly, the e-waste is going to be out of control. And the thing is that they don't realistically make an improvement. I got on another, and this is bad because it's a Canadian company. I feel bad for them. They're doing some really interesting things with Skip the Dishes and like delivering meals. But I think that that's even worse. These little robots that are essentially doing point-to-point deliveries and only doing like hot meals and going back and forth. It was so funny because they posted this like story and it's like, oh, look at this amazing trial. And if you see the story, it's cool. And you see the security guard waiting for his food that he ordered with the robot and whatever. And then I kind of laughed out loud because the funny thing was they were interviewing the security person, like, oh, what do you think about this? Do you love it? And he goes, yeah, sure. It's pretty cool and fun or whatever. But as long as there's not 50 of them, it's like, my man, if this ever takes hold, there's going to be way more than 50. It's going to be, are there 5,000 or 50,000? Like, it's not about 50. And that's going to be fundamentally the problem, that like why I think pouring money into that area of logistics, you might as well just put a pile of cash on the corner and set it on fire. It's an absolute waste of time.
So I think there's going to be also two different systems all over the world too. I think North Americans want the convenience to their house. Europeans and actually the rest of the world would be more out and about, and they want to pick it up at a prescribed location that can grab it, and by the time they're home, they can have it.
The European model will take over. Like if I was doing AV stuff today, like if I was running a company doing autonomous delivery, yep, my entire focus would be bulk package moves to neighborhoods, to a central like pickup location, whether it's some type of locker bank or whatever. And I would do it in the middle of the night, because then you're actually making improvements across the board.
Well, I agree.
Getting away from congestion. You're doing mass density delivery. You're still delivering on the convenience. You're going to be able to deliver on the cost. Like, but that right there, for anyone listening, feel free to take that and go make yourself $1 billion.
But I don't think that the North American experience, I think, is contrary to that. I remember when people moved away from the mailbox and made it into that central mailbox location. Everybody complains about how when I get mail, I go like once a week or once a month to grab mail. Like so before, when it was at your mailbox, you'd be checking every day. You'd be like out there going, "Is it there? Is it not? Is it here?"
Yeah, and what are you checking for every day?
Nothing. Flyers.
Waste of time stuff.
But my point stands. The North American experience is a little bit different, right? Because we're not out and about.
No, you could. I could change consumer behavior. If I was Amazon, I could change consumer behavior in 2 minutes. I just have to give them a better carrot. That's it. Like that's the only thing
But changing behavior is like the hardest thing to do. Yeah, like unless it's an improvement, it is very, very hard. That's why Amazon was great when it first started, because improvement went from 1 week delivery to 1 hour delivery. Right, and that was the improvement. Everybody loved it. Like I don't have to leave my house, because I remember back in the day I wouldn't order anything online because I'm not waiting a week for it. Now it's like next day.
It wouldn't even matter. Do you know how many people I could easily convert if I were Amazon to community pickups? I'd be willing to bet you it would probably be more of a question of how cheaply I could do it, because you just have to give them some other incentive. So right now they pay the price that they pay. They get free delivery with their Prime membership or whatever, or if they spend over $35 or something these days, and that's it. They get the 1, 2, maybe 3 day delivery in some weird circumstances these days. The only thing I would need to do if I were Amazon is, one, have a reliable place to put it. And this is where Europe is further ahead. Like companies like Impost are doing a great job, and the Pudo networks are way more rich, but the only thing they would have to do is have the good place to put it. And then it would just be a question, how many people will take it for 5% off? How many people will take it for 7% off? And you do that initially to start shifting behavior, because the easiest way to change someone's behavior is to make them choose to make like, you don't force the choice on them like the male guys did, but I mean, they kind of had to, and they have a monopoly, so they could get away with it. The other way is just to get people to think it's their decision. The easiest way to get the bulk of e-commerce products shifted in terms of what consumer expectations are just to give them a little incentive. Especially these days, everybody's like kind of talking about inflation, raising prices and stuff like that. Amazon would be able to give you 5% off and probably save, 7, 8, 10% on their delivery costs.
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
I disagree. I disagree. I disagree because I don't think people want that 5% off for a communal delivery in North America.
So my mailbox, I can literally see it from the window. You're telling me if it was something that's like 500 meters away, you're telling me you wouldn't take 5 or 10% off your purchase to walk out of your house and walk 500 meters. You're telling me no.
Well, because mine is right there as well. But if I was the guy at the other end of the corner, no, I wouldn't, right? Because it's like, it's an inconvenience. It's an inconvenience. It's not worth,
because how many people leave their house every day, go to work, go to the grocery store?
I'll give you an example. I bought a $10 item to save the 5%, which is 50 cents. I have to walk. The North American experience will tell you no. I will not walk. I'd rather have that on my doorstep.
Okay, so but flip it the other way. So what's Prime right now in Canada? Like 129, I think, a year, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. You want Prime that's 2 home delivery? It's $199 a year. You want Prime that's a community mailbox? That's $99 a year. What do you think people will do in a heartbeat?
$199 because they want to be exclusive. Because they want to be exclusive.
Not. They won't.
They want to be. Yep. They want to be exclusive. They want to be the
anyone who's listening, let's put our comments and think who would take, the $200 Prime to your door or the $99 Prime.
I would take the $200 Prime to my door.
I don't think you would. You say that until like you have to put the credit card in and you got to spend that $200 when you see the other offer at $99.
It's a one-click button. It's a one-click now. They made it so easy. Like, I don't even have to think about it.
Point being is that I think that the only thing that people need to do is find a better way to incentivize. And again, I would say this on the short term, right? Because to your point, the goal is about changing consumer behavior. Once it's entrenched and it becomes the norm, like then you don't have to kind of persuade people. They've just accepted that that's the new alternative.
So I'll give you an example of how I think your idea would work. Just because we got to add a little bit of value here versus bickering like university.
There's tons of value. This is like raw, uncut, like legit ideas. You got robotics guys like writing down notes.
I think this would be a great, not for Amazon, but more bring back the Groupon idea. Partner up with Amazon. And if one person was buying, let's say the $10 razor idea, you bring it to get everybody in your whole neighborhood to buy it. So you have that saturation of the same product. And then you can give it like a 20% discount.
So there's a company actually in Australia called Mateship that's their value prop. That's what they're trying to do.
That's a far better idea.
The only challenge I see with that is that like it could work a little bit better if you're Amazon. I think it's extremely hard to get that level of coordination and kind of like buying activity happening with a wide array of retailers. And then honestly, my personal feeling on it is that how many times as a customer are you going to get annoyed by like a notification of being like, oh, Bobby Sue just ordered something. Do you want in? Like, I think that there's only so many times you're going to get that text before you're like, I don't want to see these anymore.
No, but I would do it a little bit differently. I'd match it with a new Google algorithm, which helps you purchase things, and then be like, hey, it's cheaper on Old Navy right now for $19, the same shirt that you're looking for. And we see that 7 other people in your neighborhood are looking for this as well. If you want to subscribe right now, we can get to you for $14.99, and we'll get everybody on board to purchase this shirt at the same time. That I could see working. And again, I don't see it as an Amazon-driven thing. I see it more of as a bargain shopper kind of thing, like the people who are big couponers. Don't give me that smug look.
I'm laughing so much because the thing is, I think it's hilarious that you're like, people will not walk to the mailbox because it's not convenient enough. But on the flip side, it's like, ooh, I'm going to subscribe and save to this eventual purchase once my
because
neighbors buy it.
it's a gamification kind of aspect of it, right? Like you got to make it into something that is like entertaining in a way, not like something passive. I'm not going to change my behavior for passive. If I can get a deal and I can convince other people to get in on this deal.
I'll tell you what, how about this? Open offer to any major retail brand out there. If you want to float me and Matt like $10 million, we'll do a proper A/B test on this between my solution and his, and we'll see which one customers go more quickly for.
12 million, a million each for the
okay,
ideas.
fair enough. Oh, that's true. We need to get paid. Anyways, this is kind of the interesting thing, because I said to someone the other day that texted me after I made some of these comments about the robotics, and I just said to them that, like, I think the technology and I think the innovation is amazing, and I love seeing the effort going into logistics, but I think that there's a real disconnect between having a legitimate problem to solve and then developing a solution and looking for a problem to stick it to. And I really think that a lot of these autonomous delivery things are people building solutions that then start hunting for a problem, because they're not better solutions. They're just not. And they might be eventually, but there's so many other ways that you could work the market to increase, benefits for communities, for the planet, for retailers, and cost. Like, there's so many other things that are just going to be inherently better than Sparky with his Happy Meal driving 2 kilometers away. It just doesn't work.
Listen, I'm going to buy that mechanical horse from what was it, Yamaha or something? It's a new 4-wheel remote. Oh, that's a pretty cool looking thing.
Yeah, the Predator version of the Cylon that could scale mountains.
But I mean, right now it's the hottest topic, right, John? Like, what is it? 46% of all venture capitalist dollars are going into AI and autonomous solutions because they're trying to find that next unicorn. But on that note, conscious of the time,
we just are 2 minutes late, but that's okay.
Okay, you got your 2 minutes.
No, I'm just saying it's true.
On that note, we also didn't do YouTube Live today. Me and John are testing something different. We're going to post it right after to our YouTube channel as well. We have a theory, and we'll see if it works.
We have a theory that YouTube doesn't like the live streams this way, so we're going to test it and see what happens.
Exactly. That is essentially it. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, you can always click on John's...
Yeah, the QR code, actually. Save that screenshot. I mean, you get a picture of me and the QR code. Like, that sounds like a win-win if there was one on a Monday morning.
You got to start working funky hats or funky shirts like you do to conferences. That'll get people going. And on that, we'll leave it with Robert's comment. What moves better than a pipe? I know there's more to it, but I thought that would be...
I don't disagree. I actually do think that, like, leveraging infrastructure, and I mean, subway tunnels and, excess capacity and stuff that there makes way more sense than stopping the kids' hockey game because someone else ordered a toothbrush off Amazon. And and the 6,000 robots are driving through the neighborhood every day.
I mean, prior to roads, John and I were talking about this too. Like, the reason we have roads is because we started using cars. If the more we need this kind of infrastructure, it will become a necessity, and people will build it right to their house. Because if something just popped into my house when I ordered it within like an hour, I think it's pretty solid. On that note,
the vacuum tubes are coming back.
Right now.
Oh, got it. Bye.
Send prank mail to John all day long. Here you go. Here's your junk mail. On that note, everybody, thanks for joining us as always. Rob, thanks for all the comments. Appreciate it. We hopefully got all of them up. A lot of great content as always. Join us next week. We're thinking of finding some guests because I think people are tired of just seeing John and I. Nobody's tired of.
No one's tired. I mean, I wasn't going to agree to that, but
we're trying to see if we can get a few guests. I want to find an antagonist to John's left-leaning ideology.
Oh, my open and progressive thinking. Yes, it's so dangerous.
On that note, we'll catch everybody later. Bye. Oh, same doc, same appointment time, same door.
Yeah. All non-AI generated people, maybe.
Maybe.